Okay, so today we will be talking about making better PPT slides. Now, a PowerPoint presentation is like like an unavoidable thing. It's like a must. And nowadays, whenever you go to industries or to academics, they expect you to discuss and present the work you have done. So it's not only for job, it's not only for studies, it's also for job. So when you go for masters, they may ask you to present your last semester or dissertation or some summer training which you have undergone. When you apply for PhD, again, you will have to apply your master's thesis. When you apply for postdocs, when you apply to industry for jobs, they will like to know what you have done. And PPT is a good way. And not only in the field of life science, go to any field, whether it's banking, it's management, and so on. You will need this skill to make good presentations. So it's something unavoidable. So why not learn about the basics of this? And the industry expects a very high standard when it comes to the presentations. It's like if your presentation is not good, so in one or two slide, your audience will know that you have not done enough work, and it goes in a negative way. The most important thing while presenting is that the person or the audience or the interview panel over there has assembled to listen to you. So the speaker is important. The most important thing is speaker. Your PowerPoint slides are just a tool to help you present better. So what I want to say is how you present is important. It's the most important thing. The PowerPoint presentation is only going to assist you in giving a more effective presentation. Say, like explaining a graph or a figure, which is difficult to draw on a board. So always remember this, even though PowerPoint presentations cannot be avoided, but they are not the main actor in your talk. You are the main actor. Your PowerPoint helps you to deliver better. So with this, I'll move on. One more thing is when we start to use PowerPoints during our UG or the PG phase, so initially we see at the option of so many fonts, so many colors, so many templates. So what we do is we start to use all of them and we sort of get carried away. And we start to make colorful slides with fancy animations and so on. So that needs to be avoided, especially in the field of life sciences. Let us move to the first slide. What makes a good PowerPoint presentation when you present? Now look at this slide. All the good things are written, but it has used too many fonts, too many styles. So it's very, you can say, distracting. It's painful to the eyes. And what happens is, rather than looking at the speaker or listening to the speaker, you try to read what's there on the slide. That's where the PowerPoint fails. The PowerPoint is not there for the audience to read. It's there for the speaker to put his thoughts better, put his points better. And this type of slide with use of this fancy template and so many fonts, even when you would be trying to read it, you will see that it's very bad. So I made some changes. Let us remove the background and everything. It's better than the previous one, but still not very good. It's still very distracting. So I tried to remove the slide, but the background is not good. And plus, if I want to talk about each point, this is again a distraction. So I removed the background, made it as a plain background. Now look at this. Still looks like too many words, and the background looks like it is there to hypnotize someone. So that's definitely not our aim. So look at this. The white background is definitely better than any other type of background. Even now, these text and the different styles are very distracting. So let us try to remove all the distractions. This looks simpler than others, but the biggest problem over here is there is too much text. It's full of text. The PowerPoint presentation is not there to be read. It's there to be explained. And the moment I start reading each point, say a PowerPoint presentation is important during teaching a class, presenting a research paper, explaining a company's performance, and so on. So you see, within a few seconds, the audience starts to sleep. The people will think that if they had to read something, they can read it from the book or from the internet and so on. So many words are never recommended. So let us come to why a PowerPoint presentation is needed. An audience comes to watch and listen to the speaker. As I have already said, they have not come to read your slides. So this is just to assist the speaker. You can use the PowerPoint presentation to put in your figures, your facts, and numbers. Say a particular number which is easy to forget. Say what is the current GDP, or what is the turnover of the industry, and so on, or how many employers are there in a particular university. So you can put those numbers on the PowerPoint so that you don't have to stress about remembering the numbers. You can put in your graphs, you can put in your images, and so on. So the summary is, it's not a substitute for the speaker. So definitely do not make this type of slides or this type of slides. But a slide should be something like this, where it should be a figure which can be explained well by you. And the text, if needed, should be there to assist you during your presentation. Now, look at this slide. I mentioned why a presentation in the form of PowerPoint is needed, what are its advantages, what not to present, and how it should look. Now, each slide can be further simplified for better presentation so that the concentration or the focus point remains on the speaker. So what I have tried in the next slide is to simplify even this present slide further. So look at this. Why a PowerPoint presentation? This figure in itself summarizes all the points which I discussed in the previous slide. Like, there is an audience here who is here to listen to the speaker, to talk to the speaker, and discuss with the speaker. And what the speaker says is more important. The audience should be fully concentrated on the speaker. And if the audience is not focusing on the speaker much, then somehow or somewhere the speaker is lacking. The speaker is not able to engage the audience enough. Now, definitely you need a good content to engage the audience. So either something is lacking in the content, or the second thing could be your slides are very distracting. So the audience is shifting from you to the slides. So finally, I have a summary. So why a PowerPoint presentation is needed? This figure more or less justifies it. And the only take-home message on this slide is audience comes for the speaker. So look at this. This entire slide can be further simplified to one sentence, which is the title, one figure, and the take-home message. This is how you should aim to make a slide, with no distractions in the background. So white background is always the best, unless you have some artistic thing to present, or you have some company provided template, or your university provided template, which you need to use. Otherwise, I'll always suggest to use a white background. Give a proper heading, which should be in 3 to 4 words, that should be properly labeled, and it should have a font or color which should be easily visible. Now, right now, we are participating in a webinar, which means each of you has access to these slides on your screen. So it doesn't matter much if say, the font size is a bit small, or if the color of the font is, say, somehow not that clear. But you are not going to present always in an online mode. Once the corona thing is over, many of these talks will again shift back to a small room or an auditorium or a meeting room and so on. And there, this talk will be presented on a screen with the help of a projector. So at that time, you will have to take more care to use proper color, a color which will be visible even to the person sitting at the back of the room, or the size which should be easily visible to the person sitting in the last row. So the size and color of the font play a very important role. Moving ahead, what should be the content of a good slide? So definitely the first thing that a good slide should have is a good title, a short title in a proper font size in a few words. Then you should provide the background information, which if you use bullet points, it will be even better. Then the sentences, you should not use full sentences. As I said, it is just to guide you or to help you remember the basic crux or the main points. So all we need to write is short or crisp phrase, which will help you to explain those terms. Then the alignment or spacing or the justification is important. So try to keep it all in straight lines. If you're using animations, keep it simple. Like in this case, I have not only used bullet points, but I've used a simple animation where my points are appearing one after another when I click the pointer or the next arrow. So your animations, if used, should be simple. And then use a uniform font or uniform style. The size and color of fonts again should be uniform so that the audience doesn't get distracted by that. Then a good habit is always to use only one topic on one slide. That helps you to keep the audience engaged, and also the frame of mind is hooked on one particular topic, so it is easier to understand and easier to follow the speaker. So try to keep one topic on one slide, and the images or the graphs that you use should be related to the topic on the slide, the topic which we are discussing. And it goes without saying that the images should be decent and non-controversial, unless of course that's your main aim to stir some controversy. So keep decent and non-controversial image. And another thing is, since I am preparing you for the scientific world, be it industries or university, so there should be references. So whenever you give the background information, you should cite the source of that information, that how you got it, from which book or from which internet source or which research article. So that should be mentioned. Also, for the images, you should also mention the source of the images. So if we are using an image, you should mention about the, say, the title of the image and the source from where the image has been taken, as well as if someone holds a copyright, you should definitely mention it, or else you will be in trouble. Like for example, in this case, I did not care to put in the source because it is already visible on the image as a watermark. But otherwise, I would have definitely mentioned the source of this image, whatever the website or so on, because nowadays almost everything is there on internet. And if you do not give proper credit, the person can file some legal case against you, and it leads to a lot of wastage of time and money. Usually it will not affect you at this level because you're a student, but once when you join some job or some company, there it will be taken very seriously. So why not start making good PPTs with good habits from now on, so that you are ingrained with it. And finally, it's a good idea to give a take home message or summary for the given slide, so that the audience knows that you have finished what you are talking about on this given slide, and now it's time to move on to the next topic. So just to summarize, give a good, short and crisp title, then move on to the background informations. Keep your points short to a few words. You use bullet points, it's a good idea. The alignment should be proper. Use simple animations with a uniformity of fonts, font size, color, and so on. And stick to one topic on a slide. That's a good idea. Like, for example, on this slide, I have stuck to only one topic, and that is how to make a good slide. So I hope this message is clear. Let us move on to which platform to use. I have deliberately changed the background of this slide so that you see it in lifetime how it distracts the eyes. So look at this. There was a white background with good slides as title and everything. And in the next slide, suddenly the template changed, the background color changed, the font color changed, the size of figures changed very much. So suddenly the focus of the gaze or the look of audience changes from the speaker to back to the PowerPoint. Now, right now I'm talking about it in context of presenting in a room or an auditorium. And you may not believe it, but in the background, these things affect the attention of the audience psychologically. So rather than moving from one slide like this to another, to the next slide with such a distracting background, you should try to stick to the same template. So this is again like the previous template with a white background and so on. So coming to which platform to use to make your presentation. Now, PowerPoint and Microsoft PowerPoint is the most common one. Then Mac users use this thing called Keynote. Google also provides its own platform, which is called Google Slide. Now, depending on what computer you have or how convenient or comfortable you are with these, you can use it to decide. But you should also keep in mind where you will be presenting. So if you know from before, that helps you a lot. Sometimes compatibility issues arise if you made your presentation on MS PowerPoint and then you have to present on a Mac. So that can lead to issues sometimes if you have not saved it in a proper format. Usually the reverse happens. Those people who have Mac, they make it on Keynote and then they go to a conference and find that they are using Windows. So sometimes they do get into trouble. So always it's a good idea to get comfortable with whatever platform you are using and try to find out where you have to present and what OS will be available there so that it makes your life a bit easy. Now, presentation is something which can't be prepared in one day. Although it looks like that the speaker finishes the presentation in 20 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever he or she is allotted. But that 20 or 30 minutes of presentation needs a lot of preparation. And that preparation, depending on your expertise and your experience, can be 1 day to 1 month. So if you are, say, a UG student who is given to present a research article, honestly speaking, you need 2 months for presenting it effectively. But if it's a PhD student who has to present a research article, it may be maybe 1 day or 2 day maximum. So a first year PhD student may take 2 days, but a final year PhD student may need only 1 day to prepare the presentation. So it varies, and that's why putting it a good effort to make this presentation is very important. So I'm listing some of the, I can say, I can listing the entire journey of making a presentation. So first you should know why are you presenting, what is the aim of the presentation, and where are you presenting. So is it a small room? Is it an auditorium? Or is it an online format like Zoom or Meet, etc.? So that definitely makes a difference. Then know your audience, the number of people who will be available, the general expertise of the audience, and the occasion. So general expertise is also important. Suppose if you have to present something related to agriculture, but your audience is from an engineering background. So you'll have to keep the background or introduction a bit simple so that the engineers can understand about agriculture. Or if it's say presentation in the field of chemistry and you are presenting it to the chemists, so you can directly use all the technical terms and other things. It won't be difficult for your audience to understand. But if the presentation is based on chemistry or a chemical, but you are presenting it to say chartered accountant, say you have developed a chemical which can be used in industry, say you developed an insecticide, and now you are trying to convince an industrialist who had a background in commerce. So there you have to go easy, you have to start easy and then try to explain it. Because there is a saying which goes in Hindi, we say galti samjhane wale ki hoti hai. So if you are not able to make the person understand, it's majorly your fault and not the audience. Then do a good research while making your PPT, edit it often so that you can improve it, and then proofread it, read it again and again so that you can avoid the spelling errors or some other errors which can be embarrassing later on. And once you have your slides ready, give good time to practice sessions. So practice it several times, especially when you are in college. You need that practice. So practice several times. Do mock sessions. Mock session meaning behaving as if you are presenting it to an audience, but your audience is right now your friends or teachers or your classmates, so that they can give their input about what was lacking and so on. Make notes for each slide, what you will be speaking for each slide. So in the initial days, it's always a good habit about what you will be speaking, like a script, so that you stick to it and you don't get carried away. And time your presentation. So timing your presentation means you practice in such a way that you are able to finish in a given time. So if your allotted time is 20 minutes, make sure that you finish by 20 minutes or 21 minutes. Actually, when you present to universities in or industries outside India, they're very strict about the timing thing. It's not taken well if you exceed that stipulated time. So time your presentation. Initially, we need to practice it a lot, but as you grow further, so you will get a rough idea about how to time it, even when you have to present it, say, with little preparation. Now, next, once you have done a good amount of practicing, be ready. So your slides are by now sorry, I lost connection from my headphone. Yeah, we were here. So be ready with your slides in time. Always save it in a proper format. So whether it's .ppt or .pptx and so on. It happens that if you do not save it in a proper format, it may not run when it's needed. So be careful with it. Dress well for that occasion or the day. And it's normal to be nervous. Everyone is nervous initially. So what you have to do is you need to get over it. Once you start, have some water or talk to your friends for a few minutes. Once you start, In a few seconds, you will feel that nervousness going on because you will be more focused on your presentation. Now, during delivery or for good delivery, think of a good starting line to break the ice with audience. Sometimes one or two things may go wrong, so improvise. Look at the general mood of the audience and present confidently. During or after the presentation, definitely there will be questions. Answer them and then thank your audience. And while you are presenting, your talk and the slides should match. That is, whatever is there on the screen should be discussed about. It should not be that you're talking about something which is there in the first slide while you're on the fifth slide. Use pointers. So pointers helps the audience to know which figure or which point you are referring to. So in this case, I'm using the computer pointer. When you are in a room or an auditorium, usually a laser pointer is provided. So point that laser effectively. Then speak slowly. There is no rush to finish, right? You know that you have practiced to finish your presentation in 20 minutes. So even with your normal speed, you will be able to finish it in 20 minutes. So there is no need to speak fast. If you speak fast, the audience will miss many a things. And also, speaking too fast is considered a sign of nervousness or lack of preparation. So you use your usual amount of speed. Now, this first part, knowing about presentation, the audience, the making of the slides, and the practice sessions, these should take the 70% of the entire time devoted. The rest is only the 30% of time. So when I said that when you are a UG student and you are asked to present a research article, all the preparations will take out of that 1 month, maybe 20 days, 25 days. While this actual thing, say getting ready and thinking about delivery of next few more days, and the actual presentation will hardly take your 20 or 25 minutes. So definitely more than 70% of your time should be spent here in this part, in making your presentation, in doing research for your presentation, and for practice sessions. Remember, try to finish your presentations at least 4 to 5 days in advance so that you have good practice session. Moving on, I've put it so that when you have to actually present something, you know what all contents to keep in your on your slides. So if suppose you have to present a research paper, definitely you should start with the title of the paper, authors, journal, and the year of publication. Sometimes people also take a snapshot of that paper and put it sideways. So it's a very good idea because one can directly look at the title and the authors, and it helps the audience to connect with that paper with this one snapshot. So you can use this style and look at this, the year of publication and everything is mentioned. Even the abstract is there, although you don't have to read the abstract. So in the next slide, put your aim. Now remember, all these points should be on different slides. So in the next slide, mention your aim. So in this case, it will be artificial intelligence for detection of COVID pneumonia on chest using big data sets. In the next slide, go for the background information and introduction to the paper. Then your methodology about how experiments were performed. Then devote the next few slides on results. So if say the article has 5 important figures, put each figure on one slide and explain them one by one. And as I had said before, give the summary at the end of each slide. Then discuss about the significance of the paper. And since you have been asked to present a paper, you need to give your critical input. What do you think is the highlight of the study? What could be lacking in the study? How that particular experiment could have been done in a better way? And then mention the future direction, how this study can be taken up to do more developments. And finally, give the summary and the conclusions. So usually this is the format how a research paper is presented. Now, this is an important paper is an important way to train a student into this field about how to read what is already available, how to understand the experiments, and how that paper can be used for basing another research or for a next level of study. And whether you go to industry or whether you go to university, you will have to develop this habit. So definitely your teachers will teach you in the college about in the paper with the paper, you can definitely summarize it on a slide. Same can be for your dissertation thesis. You can start with the title of the whoever else contributed to the work and the information related to lab. So the lab, university, and so on. Your aim and why the study was needed. What was the novelty in this study? Then introduction for the study along with references. Now this is important for your dissertation. The references should be mentioned. Then go to methodology, then results. Again, preferably one experiment on one slide. Then discuss the significance of your study. Say if you go for a viva or an interview, definitely this will be the part where your interview panel will be most interested. That why you carried out this particular study, what is its significance? And then they would like to see how you think. So they will definitely ask for your future directions. Or sometimes they also ask, if you have to perform this experiment now that you know all those things, what changes will you make so that you can carry out the same experiment in less time and with less money, with better results? Then, of course, include the publications or presentations. And finally, give a conclusion to your slides. Now, the only way to make good slides is start making your slides. So when you log into a computer next time, look at the features of Microsoft PowerPoint, go through each of the features. So you will see a lot of things. Actually, you would have already seen it related to font size, templates, designs, introducing shape and other things. Then text box. So go through them go through them one by one and get to know them. The more you explore these features, the more you will be comfortable with it. So that's my my suggestion to you, that explore the features and know them. With this, I will finish this talk. If there are any questions right now, I'll discuss it and address it. If not, you are always welcome to send me your questions.
Hello, sir. I'm Akshay.
Hi.
Hi, sir. Sir, I've done a project in the last time of my undergraduation.
Mm-hmm.
It was on antimicrobial potential of weeds.
Okay.
So, sir, I was doing projects. So the review of literature, that one was aspect that I did not understand the whole project, sir. Sir, can you guide me on that review of literature?
On your project.
Yeah, sir. I did not find many of my work that which is review of literature, sir. Can you explain me a brief on review of literature?
Okay. In one line, what I can say right now in this limited time is take help of
Yeah.
PubMed and Google Scholar. Write those keywords. So if you say pesticides, write all those
Yeah.
terms. So it will give you papers. What you can do is in your Google Scholar, it also has an option of arranging papers with year. So start with the latest paper. They will have cited all the old papers. So you can start from there. If you want to discuss in detail, you can mail me later on and then I can give you a
Okay,
detailed guidance.
okay, sir.
Okay?
Sir,
Yeah.
and what is the review of literature? Can you explain some more?
Review of literature is simply all those papers which you have
Yeah.
studied to understand the developments that have already taken place in this field and what were lacking in this field that you wanted to study it.
Yeah, sir. Okay, sir.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, there is a question in the chat. Where can we find the relevant images that go along with writing in our slides? Like reasons for doing these steps, cartoons. See, images, if you are presenting a research data, then definitely your images come from your research. So it will be your graphs and other things. Related to research, your images can also come from the books or from research articles. So you can take a snapshot of that and mention the source. And when you're talking about any other type of image, you can get it from Google. Just search it on Google and mention the website at the bottom of slide from where it was taken. Next is what kind of biotechnology projects and platforms come along with artificial intelligence? Okay, we can't discuss it right now because of lack of time, but I think we have some discussion sessions as well, so we can discuss it then. Or you can mail me and we can discuss it later on. If there are no more questions, then we'll move to our next speaker.
Dr. Pius, one more.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So can you guide students and participants about the fonts that they should use? Because most of the presentation that I see, who do not know, they put Times Roman, right? So what are the fonts and size they should use in the presentation to look it like more attractive?
Okay, if my screen is still visible, as you can see, this is the area which gives you your fonts. Now, for most official purposes, people stick to three fonts, three major fonts. One is Times New Roman, one is your Calibri, and the other is your Arial. So what I'll suggest is stick to these three fonts. And unless you have to highlight something artistic, do not go for other fonts. At the same time, when you are preparing your presentation for presenting in, say, an auditorium or a big room, the title should be around more than 40 point sizes, and your subtopics can be in the 30s. So they work well. If you go below 20, then it becomes very difficult for the audience to know what's written. Also, regarding color of the fonts, black, blue, red, these are good. So if you want to highlight some specific things or a take-home message, red is good because red can be seen even from the back and it stands out. Second is yellow color. Colors like yellow, light green, they are not visible on the projector. So when someone is sitting even in the second row or third row, it's very difficult to make out what's there in the yellow fonts. And actually, that's why I had kept this slide. Like, look at this part, presenting a research paper. It's very difficult to read even on the screen. So imagine how it will look when it's projected with the help of a projector on a screen. So these are the colors to avoid. These are the fonts like cursive fonts. They are to be strictly avoided. All the scary looking fonts are to be avoided. So summary is use Arial, Times Now or Calibri. Use bold as needed, especially for headings, and it will be good enough.
Okay, there are so many questions in the chat box for you. Like
okay, more have come.
Is there? He's asking about if in my research process, if I prepare ANOVA table and the result comes non-significant, can this result be fruitful to my research paper?
If your result is non-significant, even then you need to discuss it. Sometimes that is a way how not to do that research, and it also helps your lab members and other peoples to avoid that particular pathway or that particular way to do an experiment. So every result is important. If it's non-significant, be honest, mention it. Is there any hard and fast rule that you have to use you have to use this font only? There is no hard and fast rule. It's just that the attention of your audience is always there. So stick to these 3-4 fonts for your scientific presentations. That's what I'll suggest. If you're making an artistic presentation, if you are say a painter or something, then you can definitely use all the fancy fonts. In science, I'll suggest these simple fonts. Also, the aim is not to make an attractive slide. The aim is to present what you want to present effectively. So by attractive, I'll say your graph should be good with good results. Your figure should be clear and important. It need not be flashy. Okay, another question is, if I want to do any research project with lab and field works, where should I go for like any organization? Okay, I cannot discuss this right now because it's not related to PPT and our next speaker is already waiting. Next is, are there any tools for making images and cartoons by myself and not searching from Google's? Yeah, there are tools. There are various software like Corel Draw and Adobe, even Photoshop and so on. You can even use Microsoft Paint for that. So definitely you can do this. It's always good to be creative. Someone has, Pawan sir has mentioned Illustrator. Yeah, you can use that also. Simple figures which needs only lines and boxes can be made in the PowerPoint itself. So that is also one way. Your flowcharts can also be made in the PowerPoint. So that is not a worry.
Okay, so one more is like slightly unrelated, but very important question from Rajat. Sir, reference writing and citation process. So please tell him the name of the website or software that does this without any pain.
Referencing is, yes, actually a pain when you have to arrange it with the style of journal. Some journals have title first, some have author first, and so on. The most commonly used thing is called EndNote. So you can use EndNote to arrange your references, and EndNote has features wherein you can just select the name of the journal and it automatically changes the style of all the references. Then EndNote is also available online. So you can have your EndNote online or your offline, both can work. There is something called Mendeley. So these two are most commonly used. Even Google, you can say in the Google Drive, when you use your Google PowerPoint or Google's word processor, they also have an inbuilt citation tool. So these three can be used. They are very easy.
Yeah, so very nice session, Dr. Piyush. So one more thing that you mentioned very important is when you were discussing about how to present a research paper. And the best thing I found after like hearing your, listening your PowerPoint presentation discussion, that there is one exam called Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Fellowship Award Examination. And those are given only to those who are the toppers of CSIR NET examination,
yes.
like 1% topper students, or second is top 1 percentile of the GATE examination. And most of the questions come from here, this slide only. Yeah. So write your critical input and future direction. They will give you that this experiment was done like this. If you were there, what you would have done? What is the flaw in this experimental setup? So this is the best slide that you can rely upon for your future. That fellowship gives you more than, I think, 150% of the normal salary. If like normal JRF is 30,000, you will get 45 or 50,000 in that if you clear that examination. And it is one of the most prestigious. So we just read the paper. We do not go into critical insights of the paper. So all the students, they have to put brain between the lines, read everything, give your critical comments when presenting. And this is, I will say that Dr. Piyush says, like it must have taken his more than 10 hours of time, as he told that it takes time to present, make presentation and present. Presentation is only half an hour, but it takes a lot of time. And this, he has put all his experience. Even I learned all these things when I was a postdoc, not in PhD. So this is very early training that everyone of us have got here. Thank you, Dr. Piyush. Thank you very much for this session.
Thank you, sir, and thank you to everyone. And as Lakshmi sir said, it takes time. And yeah, definitely now I do not need, say, a week to make the presentation. But even when I am not making the presentation, in the background, I keep on thinking about it. So even when I'm traveling and I know that I have to make a PPT on how to present or how to make a PPT. So in the background, I keep on thinking. So that is also taking time, right? And finally, putting it in words on slides is just a few hours. But you see the background that is being done takes time. So with that, I will end this session. And now I'll welcome our next speaker.